Welcome everyone to this webinar. I want to thank you for taking the time to view this. Just got less than 10 slides, so this should only take a few minutes, but it'll give you a preview of what we do in the full webinar. Again, my name is Jim Komorowski. I'm the principal agent of the M1 agency, and I am a registered Social Security analyst. So I want to start here first by going over some boring but important stuff, and it's key that we go through this. So we hear a lot that the Social Security is going broke, but what does that actually mean? So on the left-hand side, again, a lot of numbers here that talk about the eligibility of the OASDI and the OASI trust funds and the reserve depletion that's taking place somewhere in 2034, 2035, or even 2033. I've highlighted on the right-hand side, what those figures look like. And you're going to notice that there's a figure of 80, 83, 74, and 73% at the bottom of that number. And what that means, and what this means when we talk about going broke, Social Security is a pay-go system. So 6.2% of what you pay into it from your taxes, that gets paid into it to keep the base benefits paying to beneficiaries. Now, in 1983, there was Social Security legislation that was enacted to strengthen the system, and that's actually what gave us the surplus. So somewhere in 2033 to 2035, that surplus depletes, and we will, without any meaningful legislation, and we will be at 77 to 83% of the benefits that we currently receive today. So that's what actually means when we talk about Social Security, when you hear about Social Security going broke. It will then continue for 75 years after that. Now, why do retirees need help? Well, on average, retirees that own Optimize, and only 4% of retirees are optimizing, 96% don't. They're losing about, on average, $111,000 per household in benefits claiming. So somewhere between $1 and $2 million, I mean, that adds up. That's over nearly 10% of what the total benefits they would receive over the lifetime. They're not receiving those because they don't optimize and claim at the right time. There's actually nearly 12,000 people retiring every day. And of course, with DOGE uncertainty, office closures, longer hold times, this is becoming more and more and more of an issue as things progress. Now, there's also an issue too with overpayments. There's a 60-minute story that from a couple of years ago that I can post in the bottom here, a link to it that talks about overpayments. And this was an issue before DOGE. So if you have overpayments, if you don't file properly, you're responsible for those. So that's something that we really, really want to avoid for our clients. Now, there's a lack of SSA education, and this is nothing new. Nationwide Insurance, they administer a Harris poll. They've been doing this every year since 2014 about the perception of Social Security. These are some of the findings here. Things that pop out to me: 75% of adults 50 plus, they think it's going to dry up. And 1 in 5, almost 20% of adults 50 plus, they have no other source of retirement income. So it's a problem. Now, 50% that are 18 or over say they know how to optimize, but when put to it, only 8% can actually correctly identify the correct factors that determine the benefits. So, I can speak for myself as a Gen X Michigander who went to school, both private and public schools in the 80s and 90s and into the 2000s. I never saw curriculum for Social Security or Medicare planning, but yet, they're the bedrocks of a successful American retirement. So why is that? Well, there's 2,700 rules. It's confusing, that determine your Social Security benefits. So as an ex-mortgage guy, my favorite movie still is The Big Short. And if you've seen The Big Short, you'll recall there's a ton of confusing acronyms and Wall Street terms that nobody uses. I mean, SSA, it's really no different. And really, when people are trying to figure out the optimal time to collect and when to optimize my benefits, it can be very, very confusing. You can see on the side, on the left-hand side, there's a list of 20 different terms that are very Social Security specific: quarters of coverage, bend points, AIM, widow's limit. There's all these different things that are very unique to Social Security. And what we do as an RSSA is we put together, gather all the information and put together a heat map software analysis that figures out when the best claiming time is for your clients. And you can see in this example here on the screen, Peter's is actually at age 70 while Alice is at age 63. So it's going to be a little bit different for every situation. And there's a lot of factors that go into it, as we just said. So again, you can, we try to find this free online. It's it's almost impossible to do this online. half jokingly, I'll tell people that, I've done the roadmap software training, the testing, the continuing education. I've joined the Facebook and the LinkedIn groups. I attend all the webinars, the conferences. I consume an unbelievable amount of daily content on Social Security and on the subject. And for what it's worth, I have noticed that local news outlets actually do a pretty good job covering it. I do this so that your clients and your members don't have to, okay? They really need to be out generating the income and, so they can optimize their Social Security and afford the best healthcare and retirement. That's really the goal here. Typically, when we're working individually with clients, an analysis takes about an hour, just depending on the complexity of the situation. We also do offer what's called a SETERA, a self-employed tax and retirement analysis. This is great for people with S-corps and self-employed people figuring out, what point to change up the way that they pay themselves down the road. I'm going to pause here for a quick second. I've got a 1-minute video. I want to show you, once we've gathered everything, once we've begun the analysis, what this looks like. And when we start to run this through the software, this may be a little bit hard to see. So I'll send you, again, put a link in the bottom in the comments here for you to view this on your own. One thing I do want to talk about, though, also here very quickly, RSSA, they were just, big news, just received SOC 2 Type 2 compliance, which is the same compliance that military and state departments around the world use. Additionally, RSSA was also accepted into AARP's Age Tech Collaborative, and that brings together fintech innovators, accelerates technology, and fosters collaboration to make retirement and aging easier for the American population. So I'm going to hit play on this video and see how this goes through the software.
How it works. The data entry process is quick and easy. First, enter your information directly into the software. Next is your earnings record. You have access to this on your RSSA.gov account. With RSSA Roadmap, you can quickly upload the earnings record from the SSA statement, or you can manually enter your earnings record. Once details are uploaded, you will immediately have access to your analytical outputs. Let's have a glance at a few key reporting features. First, the heat map. You may view the heat map by lifetime, monthly, or annual benefit amounts and quickly see the trend toward the maximum benefit option. By clicking on any of these options, you may view a detailed annual breakdown of benefits. Other features to better understand your options include the PIA calculation, the break-even chart, and the strategy comparison report. With over two
So thanks again, everyone, for taking the time to watch this. I encourage you, please follow the QR code on the screen. This is my digital business card. It's got all my contact information, plus the social media sites, the website, as well as my email address. Look forward to meeting with you. Look forward to working with your clients. And please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for your time.